What's up YouTube, this is Takadaroba back again on Destiny. Today I wanted to take a look at most, if not all, of the combat bows in Season of the Splicer. That's right, calling all bow enthusiasts. Bows are one of my favorite weapon types in the game because of their niche uses in both the PvE and PvP meta, and how they generally fly under the radar except for other bow enthusiasts like myself. A quick disclaimer, I'm going to be looking at these bows from a mostly PvE standpoint, but I will mention any unique PvP outliers. We're going to start with the legendary bows and end off with the exotics, since nearly everyone has all the exotic bows and knows their pros and cons. Before we get started, let's have a moment of silence for our fallen brethren, ripped away from us by sunsetting. Subtle Calamity, Spiteful Fang, Hush, The Vow, and No Turning Back. All victims of the great Recluse and Revoker Remover. They will be missed dearly and will continue to live on in our hearts. Now that that's out of the way, let's start with our kinetics. First off is Biting Winds, added with Beyond Light in Season of the Hunt. An overall pretty decent bow, being one of the very few remaining precision frames out there. It's got a pretty great perk pool, with highlights in row 1 being Rapid Hit, Killing Wind, Quick Draw or Moving Target, and row 2 consisting of Explosive Head or, very interestingly, Swashbuckler. I've got two decent rolls myself, the first being Moving Target and Explosive Head, and the second one being Rapid Hit and Swashbuckler. This is actually one of the PvP outliers I was mentioning earlier. If you can land a Swashbuckler roll and get a melee kill off in PvP, that Swash times 5 will allow you to one-shot headshot most if not all Guardians for that short duration. It's somewhat hard to set up, but if you can get into that sweet spot and hit your shots, you can practically get free kills until that buff runs out. PvE-wise, I'm thinking Rapid Hit or Killing Wind paired with Swashbuckler or Explosive Head. For strings and masterwork, I personally try to get that draw time as low as possible without taking too much of a hit to accuracy. Being a precision frame, the draw time on this bow starts higher than other lightweight frames, and the lowest I've gotten it so far is 648. But if you can get it to that minimum of 540, that'd be pretty nasty. Moving on, we have the Accrued Redemption from Season of Undying and the Garden of Salvation raid. Yet again, a precision frame, this is one of the more uniquely styled bows, at least looks-wise. It also comes with some banger perks, such as in the first row, the Unrivaled Best Bow perk, Archer's Tempo, or Quick Draw, and in the second row, Rampage, Rapid Hit, Explosive Head, and Moving Target. I know you see that beautiful Archer's Tempo and Rampage, which is probably the best you can get, but don't sleep on Explosive Head, or what I'm a little more curious about, Rapid Hit. You get yourself an Archer's Tempo Rapid Hit and you're going to be unleashing arrows like an auto rifle. This is the only bow on today's list that I haven't acquired, but I'd love to snag someday. Once again, I'd be looking for strings to lower draw time and a masterwork of either accuracy or, again, draw time. Lastly, for our kinetics, we have the Whispering Slab or Drifter's Cool Skateboard with a bowstring attached. Seriously, this thing is huge. It comes straight out of the darkness in Season of Arrivals and was one of the first weapons to come from Umbral Engrams. It's a lightweight frame and has some more perk variety this time, such as Archer's Tempo, Killing Wind, Quick Draw, Firmly Planted, and Hipfire Grip. And the second row is where cool stuff starts to happen, with Swashbuckler, Demolitionist, Vorpal Weapon, Sympathetic Arsenal, and Opening Shot. My own personal role is Archer's Tempo and Demolitionist for that delicious grenade energy. I would assume Swashbuckler can do the melee one-tap trick in PvP as well, but I'm hesitant to guarantee it because this is a lightweight frame instead of a precision one. Vorpal and Sympathetic Arsenal also stand out to me as some perks to play around with, although I haven't had the chance to do so myself. I've seen a couple reviews over on light.gg saying that this bow's aim assist, or at least hipfire aim assist, is nutty for some reason, and I can confirm that it feels pretty sticky when aiming onto targets. Overall, pretty great for our only lightweight kinetic. I only wish that it didn't look like I ripped the wings off of a plane and attached a bowstring to it. And that's gonna be it for our kinetics, my favorites being Whispering Slab and Accrued Redemption, if I had one! Dear God in heaven, please return my fallen child, Spiteful Fang, to me someday. Someday! Alrighty, energies. We'll start off with the most popular, or at least easiest to obtain, Arsenic Bite. This one is a world drop, a lightweight frame, and deals arc damage. It was originally introduced in Forsaken, but was sunset and reintroduced in Season of Arrivals. For the perks, we've got Rampage, Hipfire Grip, Moving Target, Snapshot, Quick Draw, and my favorite, Dragonfly! Second row only has 3 options, consisting of Archer's Tempo, Explosive Head, and Sneak Bow. Ooh boy, what a beautiful and flexible list of perks we've got here. My roll, which I use in a lot of content, has Dragonfly and Archer's Tempo with that elastic string to bring that draw time down to a perfect 540. Sadly, I got a handling masterwork where I would have preferred probably accuracy, but that's okay. Dude, I put Dragonfly Spec and Energy Accelerant from the Season Pass on this baby, and wow! All I have to do is hit a headshot, and ads are no longer an issue. Thrall Rush? Tap one in the head, and not anymore. Moving on from my personal role, I've heard great things about Dragonfly and Explosive Head setting off nukes. And, of course, you can never go wrong with a Rampage Archer's Tempo, which, funnily enough, I have a roll of, but I got Tactile String, which only brings the draw time down to 576, which is perfectly fine, I'm just not used to it myself. An overall well-rounded bow that can fit basically any need. Next up, we have Tyranny of Heaven, a lightweight frame solar bow from the Last Wish raid. Similar to Arsenic Bite, this one was also released in Forsaken, Sunset, and reintroduced in Season of Arrivals. Perk-wise, we have a very small pool. First row we have Archer's Tempo, Moving Target, and Sneak Bow. Second row we've got Rampage, Explosive Head, and Snapshot. I was actually lucky enough to snag myself an Archer's Tempo and Rampage roll with Elastic Strain for that 540 draw time. Looks like the general consensus here is that it's very similar to Arsenic Bite, but sadly with lower base stats, and I'd have to agree. Mine came with the yucky reload speed masterwork, yet I still feel like it takes an eternity to knock the arrows. Of course, a bow reloader on my gloves fixed that right up, but it still feels a little bit off. The design of this thing, though, is beautiful! I absolutely love the Last Wish / Dreaming City style and color scheme. It doesn't like to play nice with shaders sometimes, but it's pretty great as is. Overall, for this bow, just stick to a well-rolled Arsenic and only go for it if you're a collector, as other bows can do the same job, but a little bit better. Moving forward, we have a little bit of a different one, the Point of the Stag Precision Frame Arc Bow. This one was a ritual weapon from Iron Banner back in Season of the Worthy, and being another PvP outlier as I mentioned earlier. Being a ritual weapon, it comes as a static roll with 2 perk choices in each column. Firstly, we have No Distractions and Archer's Tempo, and secondly, we've got Vorpal Weapon and Eye of the Storm. This bow's a really weird one because its perks line it up to be a PvP-oriented weapon, which it does exceptionally well. You can see the best perk choice would probably be Archer's Tempo and Vorpal Weapon for a slaying and super killing machine. It's just a shame that bows are still pretty out of meta for Crucible at the moment, but if Bungie somehow manages to make bows more viable there, you know exactly where to go. Lastly, for legendary bows on today's list, we have the Imperial Needle. It's a lightweight frame that deals void damage and is from Season of the Chosen. This one's got some very interesting perk combos. In the first row we have the highlights of Impulse Amplifier, Archer's Tempo, and Killing Wind. Second row we've got Frenzy, Thresh, Swashbuckler, Wellspring, and Opening Shot. Now I've got myself a roll with Impulse Amplifier and Frenzy, and I've gotta tell ya, it's amazing. Once Frenzy kicks in, you start ripping through ads like nobody's business. Impulse Amplifier is cool in theory and turns this bow into basically a hit scan weapon, but I can't say I've had the issue of arrows missing in the past. I'd gladly swap it out for Archer's Tempo if I had the chance to test it out. Swashbuckler and Thresh also sound like some fun perks to mess around with in place of Frenzy. Overall, I like this bow's look, feel, and perk pool, and I really want to get a few more rolls to play around with. And that's officially it for our legendary bows. There's a lot that they have to offer with plenty of different rolls that anyone can enjoy. But now, we must move on to the exotic bows. First off, we have Wishender from the Shattered Throat dungeon, and I'm going to keep this one relatively short. Basically, it has a long draw time, has over-penetrating rounds, and gives you wall hacks while fully drawn. It's a fun niche weapon to pull out in PvP, but nothing totally special. The only real fun I had with it was when it was bugged in the beginning of Season of Dawn and did somewhere around triple damage or more due to the over-penetrating round freaking out on targets for some reason. Next up is going to be Trinity Ghoul from Forsaken, and whoo, Ooh, this one's a monster. Its exotic perk is Lightning Rod, which basically states that precision kills enable your next shot to have arc chaining capabilities. A decent ad clear by itself, but then we get our hands on the Catalyst. That Catalyst enabled Lightning Rod to proc on any arc kill. Abilities? Yep. Body shots? Yep. Other lightning rods? Oh, you know it! This bow is one of the best weapons for ad clear in the entire game. I've never seen so many thrall be mercilessly cooked before me just by firing an arrow at the ground. And the best part, the next arrow I reload had lightning rod ready to go again. If you have this bow, please complete the Catalyst. The enemy kill tracker will go up into the thousands before your very eyes. Now that that maniac of a weapon is out of the way, we have my favorite exotic bow conceptually. The Le Monarque from Season of the Forge or Black Armory. Do I need to do the French accent? I don't frickin' know. Le Monarque. Le Monarque. This bow's exotic perk is Poison Arrows, stating that arrows fired at a perfect draw are poisonous, and landing precision hits with poisonous arrows causes an explosion that spreads the poison to nearby combatants. Have you ever stopped to admire the explosion lighting effects in Destiny? Well boy, I tell you what, this thing lights up majors and bosses like a firework. Not to mention it continuously applies poison damage over time after each shot. The damage isn't too much to write home about, but lord is it beautiful. It also comes with snapshot sights built in and is one of the best bows for PvP. Peeking corners and applying poison damage to guardians so they can't heal can be super beneficial to you or your entire team. Sadly enough, this bow doesn't have a catalyst yet, but I've been looking forward to one ever since the day it came out back in Black Armory. Please, Bungie, hashtag Monarch Masterwork, ? First thing I came up with off the top of my head. Moving on, we have Tiku's Divination from the Season of the Chosen Season Pass. Now, this one is a bit different. It has two exotic perks. Firstly, Sacred Flame, stating that hip-firing this weapon creates multiple tracking projectiles, and targets marked by these explode on death or when struck by another Sacred Flame's explosion. Secondly, we have Causality Arrows, stating that arrows fired while aiming down sights cause Sacred Flames to detonate. So basically, you hip-fire to mark targets, then aim down sights to make them explode. A very unique bow, but nothing special in terms of damage. Until we get to the Catalyst, of course. The Tiku's Divination Catalyst gives this bow another perk called Causality Quiver, which states that perfectly drawn arrows that detonate Sacred Flames increase arrow damage. Now this is where things get interesting. You're able to stack Causality Quiver up to 6 times, which really starts to push your arrow and explosion damage up there. It enables you to deal with majors and even dish out some light boss DPS when you have no better options. There's so many opportunities with this bow, it feels great to use and is very versatile. This is another one of my favorite exotic bows. Well, last but probably least, we have the heavy exotic bow Leviathan's Breath. This bow's exotic perk is Big Game Hunter, which states that it fires a heavy, massive bolt that stuns unshielded combatants and stuns unstoppable champions. We also have another perk here called Leviathan Sigh that says when fully drawn, the bolt creates a concussive blast that knocks combatants back. Now, this bow is amazing conceptually in terms of everything from looks to functionality. I mean, come on, the bowstring is a giant chain. Sadly enough though, functionality is where it starts to lack heavily. Most heavy weapons in the game will out DPS this thing, and we're talking legendaries that wouldn't take up your exotic slot too. It's most useful in Gambit where you can one-shot invaders or any guardians while you're invading, but it still falls short basically the rest of the match. The same could be said for its functionality in PvP, pretty decent if you can get the heavy ammo, but I feel that other heavies can do the job much better. It does also have an exotic catalyst, but it just increases the inventory size. Nice to have more ammo, but the bigger issues still stand. Here's to hoping that our boy Leviathan gets a much needed buff someday. And that's about it for all of our unsunset bows right now. This has to be one of the longest videos I've ever written and scripted out, but it's been a ton of fun compiling information for one of Destiny's most niche weapon types. What's your guys' favorite bow? Exotic, legendary, or one of each? I think I'd have to go with Le Monarque and Arsenic Bite for now. Hopefully I'll be able to test out some more perk rolls in the future. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, you know, all the stuff I'm obligated to say. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!